To derive the quadratic expression, we have to complete the square. And by completing the square, we mean we have to introduce new terms. But at the same time, we have to make sure that the expression is maintained. And by completing the square, we mean that our expression is not complete. That's why we have to complete it. Which means our quadratic expression is not perfect. So the way we do it is first, when we are completing the square, we have to, for the term x squared, where if it is a coefficient, we have to remove it. So let's remove the coefficient of x squared, which is a first. So we have to divide everything by a. So our final result will be x squared plus b over ax plus c over a is equals to 0. So now our main focus is this part. This part will help us to introduce new parts, new terms in our equation. So the way we introduce new terms is we have to focus on the coefficient of x. So what we do is we concentrate on b over a. So first of all, this b over a, we have to divide it by 2. And when we divide it by 2, we get b over 2a, and then we have to square it. And when we square it, we get b squared over 4a squared. And then we have to substitute the terms b squared over a squared inside the equation. But since this is an equation, we have to make sure everything is balanced. So the way we balance it is b squared plus b over a x plus b squared over 4a squared minus. So we are simply subtracting because we have to make sure every term is maintained, our equation is maintained. So let's just move this part this side, minus c or minus c over a. So we have to make sure our equation is balanced. So because what we do on the right hand side should be done also on the left hand side. That's why if we can say b squared over 4a squared plus this, and then we can also add this one this side, but it's still the same. We have to make sure the point is we have to make sure our equation remain balanced. So okay, let me leave the terms which we are more concerned about on one side of the equation, and leave the other terms on the other side. Okay, so now we are factorizing. We are concerned with this part mainly. So when we are factorizing, we are going to use the ordinary procedure, where we have to find two terms which, when we multiply, we get b squared over 4a squared x squared, and when we multiply those two terms, they should give us this product, and when we add them, they should give us b over a x. And those two terms, we actually get them from here, the way we determined new terms. So those new terms are actually b over 2a. So those new terms are actually b over 2a x and b over 2a x. So let's now we are just breaking down our problem, our terms, so that it becomes easier to factorize. So if you add b over 2ax and b over 2ax, we get b over ax, and if we multiply these two terms, we get b squared over 4a squared x squared. So we now have b over 2ax plus b over 2ax plus b squared over 4a squared. Okay, which is the same. And let's just simplify this side as well. So the common denominator here is 4a squared, and 4 into 4 is 10. So we have a squared minus a into 4a squared, it's 4a, because a into 4a squared is, it goes in 4a times, and 4a times c, we get 4ac. Okay, so let's factorize this part. So when you are factorizing, you get the common term out, which is x, and the uncommon term, they remain in the bracket, and here the common term is b over 2a, and the uncommon terms, they also remain in the bracket. And if you want to make sure that you factorize the correct way, you can simply expand and compare with the previous terms, and if they give you the exact same result, it means you've factorized correctly. Okay, so let me use the different ink. So the way we factorize ordinary expression is the way we also compute this part as well. So we have b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. So since these two terms are the same, we can actually simply express them as x plus b by 2a squared, and we are almost there. So let's remove the square root, because our goal is to make x disappear formula. So we need to set x free, so we have to square everything. We have to square root everything. So when we are square rooting, is the same as multiplying with the power with the half power. Okay, so we have plus or minus here, and now x has been set free, and b over 2a is equals to plus or minus b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. Okay, so now let's move b over 2a on the, oh sorry, I forgot to put the square root sign. And what the square root sign will do is 4a squared can be further simplified, but okay, I'll just do it below here. So let's move b over 2a on the other side of the bracket, on the other side of the cosine. So we have negative b over 2a plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over square root of 4a squared. And let's further simplify our expression on the right hand side of the equation. So now we have 2a, and since the denominators are the same, we can actually conclude that minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a is actually the value of x. So that's the quadratic equation. That's how we derive it. So here is our final expression. So the way we did, just a quick recap, is we completed the square, because this quadratic expression is not complete. So when we are completing the square, we are introducing new terms, because our quadratic expression is not a perfect square. We are actually introducing new terms, and we are only mainly if first we have to divide by the coefficient of a squared, and when we are done dividing, then we have to we are now concerned about factorizing, because we cannot factorize it if it's in this state. We have to find new terms and we have to add new terms. So b over a is our main concern, because it will give us new terms. So when we divide it by 2 and then we squared it, we actually got the new term here, but we have to keep our equation balanced. That's why we also introduce b squared over 4a squared. What you add on the left hand side, you have to add it also, because if b squared moves on the right hand side of the equation, it will be adding to the equation, so the equation remains balanced. So after that, we just follow the common procedure of factorizing, finding the common terms, which when we multiply we get b squared over 4a squared, x squared, and when we add we get b or a squared, and we got those terms. And after we got those terms, we simplify this part and we factorized, and that's our final solution. Thank you very much.